Hey there, sweet friends. Welcome back to the Business of Inner Peace. I'm Erin Jean. Today, we're diving into a topic that might seem impossible at first glance: transforming your marriage without your spouse's active participation. So grab your favorite beverage and let's dive in.
Welcome to the Business of Inner Peace. I'm your host, Erin Jean, and I'm so glad you're here. Let's pretend we're sitting in my living room enjoying a cup of coffee or tea and getting to know each other just a little better. That's what I love. I love getting to hear your story. I love feeling connected by the spirit of understanding that our stories bring. Today, I'm sharing some of my story, but I hope someday soon you'll be telling me yours. Listen, I know that you're feeling overwhelmed with life, and nothing is exactly how you'd like it to be. Your marriage is not what you hoped for, motherhood is harder than you imagined, and you've lost yourself somewhere in the mix of responsibilities. Well, if you're ready to bring some more peace and joy into your life, reconnect with God who made you, and start living a life you love, then grab your cup of coffee or tea and let's dive into today's show.
Now, I know what you're thinking. Erin, how can I change my marriage if my partner isn't on board? Well, stick with me because today I'm going to show you how one person, yes, just you, can create a ripple effect of positive change in your relationship. So let's just start with a fundamental truth. You can't control anyone else's behavior, period. But you have complete control over your own. And honestly, this is where the magic happens. I remember so clearly this particular stage in my life where I was just so miserable in my marriage. I was honestly sick and tired of trying to drag my husband to marriage retreats, drag my husband to therapy, just convince him to try to read a book with me, all the things that I tried to do with him. And it was in this time period where I was really focused on learning how to love myself and searching for different answers that I stumbled across the work of a different relationship coach. And she actually said, hey, I'll show you how to work on your marriage even without your husband. And I was like, sold, I'm in. What can I do that doesn't involve him? And that's why I love talking about this, because I discovered the truth that you really absolutely can change your marriage in a very powerful way without your husband's buy-in and without his involvement. So I want you to think of your marriage as a dance. If you change your steps, your partner has to adjust, even if they're not consciously trying to, right? It's the same in your relationship. When you shift your patterns, your reactions, and your energy, it creates a new dynamic that your spouse naturally responds to. This isn't about manipulation or trying to fix your partner. It's genuinely about creating a positive change from within. And this change is for you, my friend, not really for anyone else. It's for you. And you're allowing that change to influence your relationship organically. And let me tell you, it doesn't just influence your husband. It influences your children and many other relationships in your life. So this type of work that I do with women, it's powerful. And it really just levels up your life in so many areas. So let's address some common misconceptions about transforming your marriage. First, it's that both partners need to be equally committed to change. So, while it's great when both partners are on board, it honestly is not necessary to start the transformation process. So don't let that be the thing that slows you down, thinking that your husband has to be on board and he has to have the same level of commitment as you. The second thing is, people often think if I'm the only one changing, then I'm doing all the work. Remember, personal growth, it's always valuable regardless of its impact on others. So, this journey that you're taking, don't get so focused on your spouse, but really let the focus be on you, because you're the only person that you can control, and you are going to reap the benefits of this, I promise. And the third thing that people often say is, my spouse's behavior is the problem, so they need to change. It's kind of like, duh, obviously. Let me just tell you what that kind of thinking got me. About 18 years of misery. That's what it got me, friend. I stayed in this victim mindset with so much proof and evidence that my husband was the problem. Lots of professionals, agreeing with me on this evidence. Lots of friends agreeing with me on this evidence. And that kept me absolutely stuck. So stuck. So often it's our reaction to behaviors, not the behaviors themselves, that can cause the most distress. And I'm telling you, even if the behavior itself is 100% wrong, like my husband was emotionally and verbally abusive. His behavior, his words, his actions, they were 100% wrong. But when I began to do this work and shift me, there wasn't space anymore for all of that unhealthy stuff, and everything shifted. So I just really want to encourage you, no matter what you're facing, change is possible. And I also want a side note, like if you are in some serious abuse, like if you're in an abusive relationship and you're not safe, that, or your kids aren't safe, right? That becomes priority number one, is figuring out how to create a safe space. And then you can do this next step of your inner work from there. So understanding these misconceptions, it's crucial because they often hold us back from taking that first step towards positive change. And I really want to encourage you to take the first step. So how does personal growth create change in your marriage? You might be asking. Well, it's all about the ripple effect. When you start working on yourself, managing your emotions better, communicating more effectively, simply showing up as a more grounded, peaceful version of yourself, it changes the entire dynamic of your relationship. I always love saying that it's literally math. It's just relationships are simple math, right? And if right now you and your husband are each a 1, 1 plus 1 equals 2. But if you become a 2, 2 plus 1 equals 3, right? So the relationship is already different. Like it can't exist in the way that it was existing before because you're not the same person. So I love doing that. Let's talk about some examples here. So for example, let's say you've been in a pattern of reacting defensively to your spouse's criticism. And as you work on yourself, you learn to respond with curiosity instead of defensiveness. And I love this. This is like a saying that I just want to share. Curiosity and judgment cannot coexist. So the more that we can tap into curiosity, we'll release judgment. And really, that's where defensiveness is coming from. It's judging someone and what you think they are saying, right? So when we can shift out of that judgment, out of the defensiveness, and genuinely be curious, it opens up space for a different type of interaction. So like I said, as you work on yourself, you learn to respond with that curiosity instead of the defensiveness. And that new response can completely shift the conversation, potentially leading to deeper understanding and connection. Or maybe you've been harboring resentment about household chores. Instead of nagging or complaining, you decide to approach the situation with compassion and open communication. And that shift in your energy and your approach can create a more collaborative atmosphere. And it might just shock the pants off your husband. Who knows? So I want you to remember that energy, it's contagious. And when you show up differently, it invites your partner to do the same, even if they're not consciously aware of it. This is what's so cool. They don't have to be consciously aware of any of this. So let's get practical. Here's 5 steps that you can take to start transforming your marriage today, all on your own. So step 1, you can cultivate self-awareness. Start paying attention to your thoughts, to your emotions and your reactions. I love to just call this notice what you're noticing. It's really important. So notice your patterns without judgment. And this awareness, it's the first step to change. There's a saying that says, you can't clean a dirty dish if you're not willing to see the dirt, right? You have to be willing to see the dirt and the crud that's on that dish in order to truly clean it. So awareness, it's that first step to change, seeing the dirt. Number 2, practice emotional regulation. So learn techniques to manage your emotions effectively. It can be through meditation. It could be through deep breathing, or my personal favorite, tapping. I love tapping. Practical tip 3 I have for you, shift your focus. So instead of dwelling on what's wrong with your spouse or your marriage, focus on what you can appreciate. So gratitude is a powerful tool for transformation. Tip number 4, improve your communication. So even if your spouse's communication style doesn't change, you can change yours. You can practice active listening. You can use I statements, and you can express your needs clearly and calmly. Actually, one of my very favorite communication tools for couples is called the rapport. If you go and Google search about Mr. Rappaport, he basically helped create peace in the United Nations. And he has a style of being an active listener and an active speaker, along with helpful questions that you can use when you do that. And it's such a powerful way to communicate. And the last tip I have for you, tip number 5, is to set healthy boundaries. And this is never, ever, 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 ever about controlling your spouse. Boundaries aren't about other people. They are about yourself. So it's about respecting yourself. It's about noticing when you don't feel safe or comfortable and doing what you need to do to shift that. So clearly communicating your limits and sticking to them with love and compassion. So if there's some sort of communication style that's like not healthy, that you don't like, right? Instead of making it about your partner and saying, you need to stop that, you can't talk to me like that, you actually need to take care of yourself in the moment and pause and take a deep breath and say, when you speak to me that way, I don't feel safe. And so I need to take a break right now, and I'm going to come back, in 30 minutes, and we can try to talk about this again, or whatever time period seems appropriate to come back. But when you're doing boundaries, I just want to remind you, boundaries are all about you. They are not about the other person. They're not about controlling anyone. In fact, oftentimes you don't even need to communicate your boundary. You just need to take care of yourself and put your boundary in place. And if people ask you questions, you can obviously answer them. But I have found there's so many boundaries I've put in my life that are just for me. I don't even need to tell anybody about them. I just need to make sure that I'm clearly engaging them when I need to. So I want you to remember that these changes, they're not going to happen overnight. It's really about being consistent. It's about small steps in the right direction. Now, you might be wondering, Erin, these all sound great, but what about those deep-seated patterns that just seem impossible to change? This is where understanding your subconscious programming becomes crucial, because many of our reactions and behaviors in our marriage, they stem from subconscious beliefs and patterns that we've developed over time. And these could come from our childhood experiences. They most often do. They could even come from past relationships or even generational patterns, something that's present in your family for generations. So this key to creating lasting change is to address this subconscious programming directly. And this involves techniques that can access and rewire your subconscious mind, like the ones I use in my program that I love to call There's a Third Option. That's my program where I work with you one-on-one and in group to really help bring all of this to a deeper level, to bring in that accountability to walk with you and help you take the baby steps, because you can create profound shifts in your marriage even if your spouse isn't actively participating in the process. If you are feeling inspired to start this transformational journey, then I have an exciting opportunity for you. I'm offering free marriage transformation calls where we can dive deeper into your specific situation and create a personalized plan for positive change. So during this call, we'll identify the key areas where you can make the biggest impact in your marriage. I'll share some powerful techniques from my program, There's a Third Option, that you can start using right away. And if you're interested in that, you want to book your free call, just visit erinjeanbooking.com. That's Erinjean, ERINJEAN, booking.com, and choose a time that works for you. So don't miss this chance to start transforming your marriage today. As we wrap up today's episode, I want to leave you with this empowering thought. You have the power to transform your marriage starting right now, with or without your spouse's active participation. Remember, this isn't about trying to change your partner. It's about showing up as the best version of yourself and allowing that positive energy to ripple through your relationship. Change can feel scary. I know that it can, especially when we're talking about something as important as your marriage. But I want you to know that you're not alone in this journey, that every small step you take towards personal growth and positive change is a step towards a happier, more fulfilling marriage. I have seen countless women transform their marriages using these principles, even in situations that honestly seemed hopeless. So I don't want you to give up hope. Your dream marriage is possible, and it starts with you. I am a hope dealer, and if you walk away with nothing else, I hope that you've gotten a dose of hope today and that you know that change is possible. So thank you for joining me today on this exploration of personal transformation in marriage. If you found this episode helpful, please share it with a friend who might benefit, especially someone that's really struggling in their marriage. Don't forget, you can book your free marriage transformation call, and it could be the first step towards the relationship you've always dreamed of. Until next time, keep nurturing your growth and watch your marriage bloom. This is Erin Jean signing off. Take care, sweet friends.
I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you're feeling blessed by the content here, the number one way you can show me is by leaving me a written review of the show. I'd be forever grateful. Knowing that you're out there listening helps me know that I'm truly living out God's purpose in my life. The other thing you can do is take a screenshot of this episode, share it with a friend, or better yet, tag me on your Instagram stories. Remember, you are seen, known, and loved. May God richly bless you today. All my love, Erin Jean.